Hey everybody, this is MadPanda Games here, and today we're going to be tackling another episode of Lake of Voices. So let's get started, guys. Now, last left off, we had a very good heart-to-heart with Bamel, or Bameli as his actual name is, but I refuse to pronounce it like that because I have issues. And I believe we're getting ready to go back onto the lake, and hopefully we will not lose him. We've already lost 2 people. Even though one of them we didn't really help. But, you know. Semantics. Let's do this. Okay. We see ourselves underneath a large tree at the meeting point. There's no sign of the sun setting, and I find myself becoming increasingly restless. I release a breath. I've yet to shake the dark and troubling thoughts coursing through my mind. A pat on my back grants me a moment's reprieve. It truly is just the 2 of us. Deep sorrow stirs inside me at that thought. However, having Bamel here with me gives at least some comfort. I lean against his shoulder, and he doesn't move to stop me. Oh, did I end up romancing him? I'm gonna go with yes. We sit together quietly as we wait for the sun to descend from the sky. Hello! The sky turns orange as sunset comes upon us. As the color seems to drain from the world, being consumed by the fog, the guide makes his appearance.
It's almost time.
I did not know that. Oh, how could I have not known that or told by, the sun disappearing? I nod and feel myself grow tense. We truly are about to return to those bridges. All of us wait in an uncomfortable silence until night falls. Night settles like a shroud over the land, every inch of the world now covered in unrelenting darkness. Suddenly, there's a gurgling. The water parts as the bridges of Sinlos rise, powered by some unnatural force, creaking like they might fall apart. I feel an inexplicable pounding like a hammer in the back of my head, beating faster and heavier than my own heart. I clench my teeth to stop it from churning my stomach.
Let's go now.
Okay. I don't want to, but okay. The guide doesn't wait for any replies, briskly starting in the direction of the shore. Bamel and I match his pace. I can feel the air weighing on us, a sensation that slows our steps despite being rested. Something hovers in my mind, the mirrored memory of the beginning of last night's journey. One day ago feels like a lifetime past. Yeah. The thick, inky water sloshes reluctantly off of the boards, bleeding back into the lake until finally it stills. A shudder crawls over my body as I place my foot on the boards, but I quickly shake it off. I have no other option. We have to go through this again. Time to go through hell! All tense as day-old corpses, we walk over the bridges in silence. The only sound that accompanies us is the thick lapping of the water at the bridge. Bamel stays close by my side with a sour expression on his face. He evidently has little interest in masking his disgust. He murmurs something beneath his breath, but it's inaudible. I decide not to ask about it. It wasn't meant for me to hear. Aw, I want to know what he said. Okay. Oh, now he's looking at us. It feels as though barely any time has passed when it is explained that half the night has crept by. We encountered a few sunken bridges which forced us to reroute, while other paths were broad enough to make us stagger our steps. However, the biggest threat of all is eerily absent, the Prowlers. I haven't seen more than shadowy glimpses of them down other paths, and even those may have simply been tricks of the fog. I feel I may be even more on edge tonight than the last. That's because you've actually experienced it now. Judging by Bamel's tenseness, he isn't set at ease by their lack of presence either.
Why?
Yeah. I whisper the question softly, almost silently as I scan left and right across the impossibly empty bridges for any sign of movement. I ponder whether they're still wary from the consuming blaze that lit up the night yesterday, or if they are less dragging themselves across the bridges than usual because many have already gotten what they wanted. Aw, no. My skin crawls with a touch of icy fingers at the thought, and I can't control the sharp shiver that travels down my spine. Bamel catches my concern, and he brings himself closer to my ear.
This isn't right. It shouldn't be nearly this easy to cross. Not after what we went through the other night.
I think it's the calm before the storm. I think something nasty is gonna happen. Something scary, and we should be prepared.
Could they be planning something?
Yes. Bamel lightly shakes his head. He speaks with suspicion in his voice as he peers at the guide ahead.
I don't know.
We should be very concerned. As time passes by, we continue to see nothing but more bridges and fog. Beside me, Bamel is becoming more and more agitated the longer we go without disruption. I can read Bamel well enough to know that his anger is still directed at the guide, rather than the bridges themselves. It was my hope that he would be able to contain his feelings toward our lead until we had put this maze behind us. That is becoming unlikely. Uh-oh. I resolve to step in before he grows too heated, and there is yet another hazardous argument. Yeah, don't argue when you're on a lake where everything wants to eat you alive.
Your concentration is clouded, Bamele. What is troubling you?
Many things.
Surely you're already aware. It's him.
Bamel glowers hatefully at the guide. I purse my lips for a moment before continuing, resigned.
I do know that. However, you need to stop allowing that to consume you, or else you could get hurt. Or even...
dead. He could die. Bamel releases an exasperated sigh while crossly folding his arms.
That is impossible. I can't stop myself from thinking about it. Everything makes so much sense now.
Would you care to enlighten
What
us?
do you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm with you, Kika.
Recall yesterday. I asked him why he would lead others at all if he was heartlessly going to leave them behind. What if this is the reason? Before, we could scarcely escape these monsters, and now I can't even hear a whisper of one. What if they're already satisfied with what they've taken?
That may be true. My eyes widen and I stifle a gasp. The situation at hand giving both of us a reason to think on that possibility is absolutely unsettling, but his conclusion is even worse still. The notion of the guide allowing others to die unnecessarily on purpose to make it less dangerous for the remaining few, that is not something I was prepared for.
Even back when we started, the first time we met the guide, he mentioned that at least one of us would die before the journey was finished. Didn't that exchange seem strange to you? He said it as though it was a price to pay for coming with him.
I think it might have been.
The guide is free to do as he pleases. He can and will threaten to leave the entire group behind at so much as a hint of resistance. Nothing is stopping him. He knew this was going to happen. He had to know.
He probably did know. I take a few moments to breathe. Despite the danger, I only barely resist shutting my eyes against the world.
We need to make it to the other side. We must keep moving forward and survive. The guide is our only way across.
Yeah, so even though you can hate him as much as you want, we need to live. My usual reply to Bamel's worries does not make an impression. His eyes are not swayed. He continues to stare into me.
I'm saying he cannot be trusted with our lives at this very moment. I need an answer to that, Kika. What do you really think?
Uh-oh. Do not agree. You can just, we can discuss at the end. Coming to any decision on the matter is impossible right now. There's too much danger and too many unknowns to account for to reach any sort of conclusion. I have no choice but to shut the conversation down. I can only hope Bamel will take it seriously.
When everything is through, then we may talk about it. End of discussion.
He probably is not happy to hear that. Bamel doesn't battle me further on the issue. His face no longer retains any anger, only sorrow. He returns his gaze straight ahead. Aw, now he's mad at us. Great. Our progress continues steadily, and we still encounter no significant difficulties.
How much longer until we reach the other side? We've traveled quite a ways.
I think we'll get across to the other side after something terribly scary happens. Bamel's quiet breaking question doesn't sound particularly enthused.
It should only be another couple of hours.
Couple of hours? Dang. Bamel is unconvinced. It is not only I who notices. The guide suddenly stops. Eerily, he turns his head to the side and looks back at us.
Is there a problem with that?
Maybe.
Is there?
Dude, calm yourself. We progressed through the bridges at a much quicker clip this time. Bamel's question was not idle curiosity. He was confirming the fact for himself. I should have known. The guide looks to be slightly irritated over the attitude Bamel has taken.
If you have something to say, you should say it. Unless you're afraid that I'm going to leave you behind.
His statement lands heavily on us. Did he listen to our conversation? There were no sounds to cover our voices. However, I had assumed we were far enough away from the guide to keep our words to ourselves. He stares with such an icy expression I nearly freeze in place. Oh, he definitely heard. He heard. Bamel, on the other hand, heats up and grows more hostile. He leaves my side to rush into the guide's flickering light. Yeah, don't!
Don't.
This is going much too far. I urge him to come back. He ignores me and takes a stand facing the guide.
Am I right? Are you going to leave us behind after what
Maybe.
I've done?
The guide isn't bothered at all by Bamel entering his space. He gives a level answer.
No.
Well,
Dude,
that's
don't piss off the
grand.
guy who's trying to make sure you live.
In that case, I'd like to know if I'm on the right track about something else. Are the monsters missing because they've already eaten? Or is there some other reason why they've all mysteriously vanished?
The guide pauses for a moment. His eyes close and he becomes completely still. Oh.
It's possible.
Bamel glares at the guide over the emittance. It's as though he heard nothing after the first line the guide spoke. The guide is unfazed.
If you enter these bridges, all you should expect is death.
Yeah.
That is no secret. You need to stop putting so much energy into finding meaning, or else you will end
Sometimes
up
you
like the others.
just gotta roll with it, dude. Bamel ends up speechless, caught off guard by the guide openly discussing his accusation. The guide continues at Bamel's silence, annoyance leaking into his voice.
You think that the results would have been different if only I had said more or did something differently. But that
Yeah.
is not true. The conclusion would be exactly the same. If Lou hadn't died when he did, he would have been lost at some other point during the trip.
Wait a minute. Lou's the guy that we left behind. I think there might be an error here.
Lou?
Oh.
Yes, Lou was his name. I had spoken with him in the past. He wanted to cross the bridges. I had deemed him unfit. He was far too desperate and unprepared. There's no helping someone
Okay, never
like
mind.
that.
Okay, at least he knew him. The guide sounds even more agitated as he elaborates. Bamel seems to be finished with being surprised. His anger reignites.
If that's all well and true, why haven't you died yet? How is it that you've been able to cross these horrendous bridges over and over again without suffering the same consequences as everyone
Look,
else?
you can be as angry as you want, but this is not the time. This is not the time, guys. Uh-oh. The guide's face twists into a vicious snarl. He shouts.
I have
What?
died. I have no life to give. Everything I am, everything I could have been was surrendered to this lake. That is the only reason why I'm able to stand
Wow.
before you now. I can show you the way, and I can give you advice on how to survive the perils you will face. That is all I'm able to offer. Is that not enough for you? What else do you
We're
want?
finally getting something from the guide.
Kindness, sympathy. It's been far too many years since I was capable of giving anything
Okay.
like that.
He finally stops to catch his breath, though the emotion in his eyes still shines intently. There is no response from either of us. An agonizing silence permeates the air. No one dares to even move. Uh-oh. The tension is cut as the boards beneath me start to just creak. My eyes dart down. The bridge is sinking, rapidly. Instinctively, I jump backwards. But the new section of bridge groans horribly as it too starts to tilt into the water. Hold on. I don't trust this, so... There you go, because I'm feeling I have to make a decision. Uh-oh. They keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform I move off of. Uh-oh.
Kika!
Uh-oh. I look up at Bamel's call. My chest tightens when I see him and the guide on what has become the other side of a small chasm. I leap back just in time as the bridge under me snaps like a twig. Glancing over again, they keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform I move off of. Dread creeps up my neck, and I nearly lose my footing once I realize what's happening. Uh-oh. Desperately stumbling backwards, I finally manage to regain my balance. I use this to leap far enough back that the bridge I land on doesn't immediately start to fall apart under my weight. In another 3 swift steps, I am finally on sturdy wood. The bridge reluctantly stops shifting and settles. The only trace left of what was once a huge section of a bridge is a few splintered boards floating in the murky water. The lake consumed it. Somehow I am not surprised. Regaining my bearings, I face what has become of my circumstances. I am now separated from Bamel and the guide by a far wider gorge than anyone could leap. My throat goes bone dry as I teeter at the edge of the bridge, mind wildly scrambling for a solution that doesn't come. I lock onto Bamel's face. He is completely aghast, darting from one side of the bridge to the other like a panicked animal. There is no mistaking that he's desperate to help me in some way. However, there's also no mistaking that there aren't any options available to him. Uh-oh. He turns to the guy with pleading eyes, all his earlier hostility sunken with the bridges. I'm too far off to grasp what Bamel is asking, but I get the impression he is seeing if there's another way. The guide turns to me. He's completely cooled down from the earlier interaction, back to his same placid expression. He focuses back on Bamel, who has now gripped him by the cloak. The guide says one word. Judging from the look of pure terror on Bamel's face, I can only assume it was no. There's no way back to them. The guide frees himself from Bamel's grasp and continues speaking. Bamel still seems horribly shaken at his words. I can barely see from here, but I think he's quivering. Oh no. As I watch the two discuss my fate, unable to say anything, fear starts to crawl over me. My arms run cool, to cold, to freezing. It's not long before the rest of my body follows. Are we gonna die? I notice Bamel cover his face with a still shuddering hand. The guide's voice echoes loudly across the water, separating me from them.
Go back and take the next bridge you come across
West.
that goes west. There may be enough time for you to find
Okay,
your own
go
way.
back, next bridge, come across, it goes west. West. Okay. I blink, taken aback for a moment before I quickly regain my composure. That's right. This isn't over. I still have my lantern with me, the prowlers are less active, and if the guide says that's possible, it could be true. I nod solemnly at his words and yell back.
I'll meet you there.
Okay.
Don't wait for me.
He bows his head and starts to slowly back away from the edge. Bamel pulls his head from his hand to look at me. Even across the water, I can tell that he's crying. I smile forlornly at him as the wind whips against my back. I speak softly. Aw,
You need to
man.
go.
There's no way he could have heard me, yet I'm confident that the sentiment got across. I spin on my heels and run back the way we came, searching for the bridge the guide said to take. I can only hope that we all safely reunite before this night ends. Uh-oh. I spare a brief glance behind me. However, there's not a trace of them or even the dead end I was stranded at. With a painful contracting of my heart, I realize that I am truly alone now. Quickly, I shake off the thought and refocus my attention on what's in front of me. The first branching of the path comes into reach. Scary. I skid into a full stop in front of it. The path west is as dark and desolate as every bridge, and it's impossible to see what's down the twisting way. The previous conversation comes floating back to me. Now that I am here, I must face that concern. Is the guide reliable? Can he be trusted? Oh my gosh, I can hear breathing. I can hear breathing in from the headphones. Oh, this does not bode well for poor Kika. I had to leave so they could go on without being weighed down. That I don't regret. However, I can't help but wonder if the guide couldn't give me a proper suggestion because of the sinking bridges. A mistake could have been made. It is also possible he knowingly gave false hope to keep the situation calm. Or perhaps he intentionally set me to the wrong path because it would be easier for them if I did not make it. I look between the pathways. Based on my direction, it does seem as though other options could potentially connect me to them, for the west does. Yet I cannot possibly know until I move forward. I need to make a decision. Saving, cause I don't wanna die today. I'm following the guide's path. I'm going it. No, I can't allow doubt to take control. We've known from the beginning that there is only one path that has led travelers to safety. His. I will take the guide on his word. Okay. Without wasting an additional moment, I make my way across the western bridge. I walk at a moderately brisk pace, not wanting to risk tripping or running out of energy in a moment where I need it. If the eeriness of the lake was disconcerting before, now it is overwhelming. The blizzard-like fog drifting over the waters limits my vision to the span of my arms. Yeah-oh. Oh god, no. The other silence was a comfort, despite how otherworldly it felt, but the whispering of the lake has started to stir now. I gulp despite myself. They've noticed me. Oh, they certainly have. As their chattering grows, I consider briefly if the others hear them as well, or if they have come out specifically because I am on my own. Yeah-oh. I strain my back and walk more surely. I cannot let them believe I am an easy target. I even consider keeping my sword in hand, but it doesn't seem entirely likely they would realize it is something that could hurt them. To keep my mind from wandering into dark places, I count my steps like we used to in training. 1, 2, 3, 4. Despite my best efforts, things are starting to get to me. My worries wash over me, causing painful twinges underneath my clothes that make me jerk and twitch like a fly-bitten horse. The whispering inhuman voices, the feeling of vulnerability, the horrible thought of being hopelessly lost all melded together is consuming me. Ah, man. My pace breaks from the steady rhythm of my counting set. It quickens more as I start to succumb to fear. My brisk steps turn into long, frantic strides. Something in me whispers, "Faster! Go faster! Don't let them catch you!" And I listen. I break into a run. Like moving on landmines, flashes of fear explode in my mind and drive my feet harder, faster, stronger along the path. Until suddenly my sense of reason returns and I stop dead. My chest rises and falls with deep, heaving breaths as I try to calm myself down. The monsters erupt into an inharmonious chorus of what sounds to be wicked laughs. Uh-oh. I fight the urge to shout back at the creatures. This feels like a nightmare I will never wake up from. I take another breath and resume my measured progress. Yeah-oh. Even at the first crossroad, I continue with the guide's simple direction, keeping west every chance I get. I have no other hints for this labyrinth. It's difficult to tell how much time has passed. It must be at least an hour, judging by how much energy I've expended. Since I recomposed myself, I have not stopped walking for a second. Despite how much time has worn on, the route still feels like an endless abyss. That's a nasty sound. Oh, that's uncomfortable. Then I hear a noise which causes a shuddering chill to creep down my spine. An uneven clicking followed by a squelching sound. It's a prowler. I immediately turn to look behind me. There's nothing. I breathe out, relieved. Why I feel like he's gonna be in front of us. My ears search for the source of the noise, but with all the babble the Nixie are making, the direction is clouded. I strain my ears. That's it. The noise is drifting slowly from one of the connecting paths up ahead. I can faintly tell the noise is drawing nearer. The prowler has not arrived yet, but soon its path will intersect with my own. I will not waiting for it to reveal itself, leaving me two options. I can run past the bridge connection to get ahead of it, or I turn back and find a new path to take. Dang it, go past it! Run. I have faith that following the same path I've been is for the best. I steel myself and build up speed. I get closer and closer to the branch with the lurking threat, and pick up my pace so I'm sprinting. Uh-oh. I hear a gurgling hiss as I pass through a crossroad. It must have been close enough to be pained by the light. I barely made it. However, I didn't hear any splash. It is still nearby. Yeah-oh. I look behind me to see if it at least decided to come no further. Oh, shit. Horrified, I realize that it's pointedly following me. It is no longer mindlessly dragging itself through blackness. I have become its target. Its limbs bend wildly and unnaturally. It looks as though it's only barely keeping itself upright as its torso wobbles on its hips. That isn't stopping it from giving chase. Shit. I think I made the wrong choice. I focus my view back ahead and continue to run. My breathing rapidly becomes ragged. I can still hear the squishing footsteps of the prowler behind me as it lunges its body forward in that unnatural gait. Without warning, the bridge lurches to one side. Shit. Oh no. Catching me completely off guard, I lose my footing and slam onto the damp surface of the bridge. My light falls with me, painfully snuffing out. Oh shit. Splashes and the excited stirring of many voices come from the lake. How? Why? Is it rotting? Or did they push the support beams? Oh shit. I'm left with no time to ponder the mystery as the monster draws near. I scramble back onto my feet as it closes in. Grabbing my dark lantern, I resume running to put some space between us again. I open the latch on the lantern and pull out a match. I'll have to slow down, at least briefly, to properly light the flame without it blowing out. With death still on my heels, I must not let one precious moment be wasted. Dun 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 dun, saving every time so we don't die. Set on my plan, and with everything in hand, I begin to decrease my pace. Okay. Moving as fast as I am capable, I place a lit match inside the lantern, and the oil catches fire. As the flame grows, I can hear the awful footsteps behind me begin to peter out. I steal a glance behind me. It has truly stopped. The return of light seems to catch it off guard, and thankfully it declines coming closer. Run! Don't stare it down! After a moment's reprieve to breathe, I rush forward once more. Fighting isn't an option. I need to get away from that monster. I am not able to run fast enough, however. Shit! I let out a loud scream as the prowler latches onto my body from behind. I'm thrown to the ground again. The shock is great and the lantern slips from my hand, skidding across the bridge out of my reach. Because it came in contact with the light, the prowler drops itself back to the depths without attacking again. There is no time to feel relieved. Arms of other Nixie emerge from the water and reach up the side of the bridge, scraping the boards as they try to get to me. Shit. I try to climb up onto my feet, but one of the creatures takes hold of me before I can properly stand. I'm dragged back down to the ground, my jaw smacking hard against the bridge as the Nix blindly pulls me towards the edge. Other slimy, clawed hands grab onto me as I jam my nails hard into a crevice in the bridge. Shit. I'm about to die. I kick frantically at their silhouettes, but they keep pulling me closer to the edge. I curl my fingers around the uneven wood tighter. Despite all my effort, there is no support. My bloody, splintered fingers come loose. I'm gonna die. Water engulfs my vision, heavy and cold, so thick I can't even hear my own thrashing. I try to grab my sword, try to fight back, but I can't even get it out of the hilt. The resistance against me is all-encompassing. Something grabs my arm, and then my waist. I get pulled from side to side, or further down, first one way and then another. The water feels like a solid substance, and being dragged against it is like I'm being pressed through something. My vision grows darker and darker. I can't tell whether I'm going lower or whether I'm losing consciousness. My arms flail to bring me closer to wherever the surface is, but nothing is working. Oh, and I'm dead. Complete darkness engulfs me. Was everything I've done worth it? I must believe that it was. Oh, and I'm dead. Well, that happened. Crap. Well, that happened. And I'm dead. Well, now I know to choose a different option. And I will try choosing that different option in the next episode. But for now, I guess I'll have to leave you with my death. So this is MadPanda signing out. If you like my content and you want to see more content like this, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. Once again, this is MadPanda signing out. See you later, guys.